Very good morning to all of you. How are you feeling? Great. So I'm going to be sharing today about how do we build a virtuous cycle. There we go. So this is the world that we live in today. Our population as of now dwells around 7.4 billion people. Based on the World Bank's stats, or their projection, by 2050, we're looking at 9.8 billion people. That's amazing, isn't it? Yes. I think for most of you, that doesn't really sound very amazing. That doesn't seem very exciting. I think most of you would say, oh crap. And I can understand why. It's because this is the world that we're starting to see more and more of. Overconsumption, pollution, violence and war. And a lot of it is correlated to the existence of us human beings. And it's quite easy to look at all of these things around us and feel like this. And you wish you could just snap your fingers and half the population will go away. I'm here to tell you that that doesn't need to happen. See, I've been very privileged in the work with Epic. I've been able to see the good side or the better side of humanity. And the thing that I've come to realize is this, that most people want to make a difference. Most of us, we want to live fulfilled lives. And I've come to believe that in order to live a fulfilled life, you need to serve other people. But in order to get here, and I believe that the world that we see today happened by design. And so because it's by design, that design can also be reversed as well. However, that cannot happen by accident. That needs to be an intentional effort to make that happen. And so it starts, I believe, very fundamentally with shifting our mindsets and re-looking at the definition of success. And I'll tell you why it's so important. Because the definition of success will really guide all our efforts, our motivations to chase towards something. And so this is what's on the Merriam-Webster's dictionary, that the definition of success is the fact of getting or achieving wealth, respect, or fame. So I understand that this definition is already changing and it has to change. But this is still the world that we live in, or this was the world that is changing. And so this particular definition has then resulted in this sort of success models. Fame, money, success, that usually then results in this. But I think it's very important for us to really change our perspective, where I believe that the new definition is no longer about surviving really well, but it's really about surviving, sustaining yourself so that you can actively serve and leave this world a better place. Oh yeah, so those kind of people make you feel like this, like, ah. And so this new definition, I believe, is, sorry, the clicker's not, okay. Is people whose purpose is not just to survive, but to serve and leave the world a better place. And for lack of, to shorten it, I call them extraordinary people impacting communities, or you can call them epic people. It is very, very important that we understand this definition because that is what's going to frame the way we think. So let me ask you, when you look at a picture like this, typically what would you think? What do you see? You see, oh man, he's malnourished, he's poor, he's sick, he doesn't have hope. And because of this, and this is an image that we are very familiar with, this is what charities for decades has been using to spur action. But this then only results in guilt, only results in fear. However, if you contrast it to our definition of success, when I look at this person, I don't see someone who's just, oh, so pitiful. But what I see is unharnessed potential or locked potential. And so it's very important because the way we perceive these things would then drive our action. And so typically, if you come from a perspective of pity and guilt and fear, then normally you're just looking at it as a problem. You're just focused on the problem. And when you see a problem, what do you then want to do? You want to solve the problem. See, the thing with this is that if you're just looking at solving the problem, so most of the time, your motivation will only go as far as this. So from point negative to point zero. So from, there's so many problems, look at a problem there, to no problem. And that becomes your definition of success. But I don't think that is enough. I believe that if we believe that this person has the potential to change and become an agent of change in this world, and I believe that each and every one of us has that potential, then we're not just going to stop there. So normally, point negative to point zero, we're looking at basic aid, right? Food, water, access to shelter, energy. But is that enough? I believe that once you reach point zero, then it's a shared responsibility for us to build an environment of hope, environment of love, access to opportunities, equitability, respect amongst people, creating the environment to then create the people at point 10. And I hope that this helps you then rethink as well. What is the purpose of charity? But at the same time, when we look at framing it using this definition of success, then we're also looking at a new beneficiary. Because it's no longer about serving community, it's no longer about just people that look like that boy or girl over there. But we're also looking at another kind of beneficiary. This kind of beneficiary as well. So our work doesn't just end at people that look pitiful, that we've been conditioned to help. But in fact, there are other people as well that needs to be inspired and changed to then become this person. Because if we're looking at the world that we live in today, a lot of the damage is not done by the boy that you saw earlier, but a lot of it is done by people with power. But I believe that a lot of times it's not by intention, but somehow there was just a flaw in the design. And it's a shared responsibility for us to change it. And in order to get there, this is not about just helping with basic needs, but we all have a shared responsibility to create the environment that we want to live in. We're looking at rethinking business, rethinking community, rethinking charity, rethinking education, to see how do we shift people towards a new definition of success. So now that I've shared this with you, I want you to know that this is not aspirational. But I've been doing this for 10 years now. I know it's not a long time for some of you, but it's enough for me to see how this perspective can change the way we live. It's certainly changed the way I live. It's changed the way I work. It's changed the way I create solutions. And in turn, that has helped change the people around me as well. And so I hope that following this, you can join me, and together we can make the world a better place. Thank you very much.